Are the ballet and the opera dying in America? No, they're not. That's a ridiculous sentiment, and I think he's an idiot for saying that. However, I do think that there is something to be said about how accessible it is, and this is a known problem throughout ballet and opera, and it was built on the foundation of inaccessibility. And I think that maybe what I don't want to speak for him, and I don't want to excuse any of the things that he said. However, semicolon, I think that there is something to be said about the inaccessibility and how that could possibly lead to the death of opera and ballet. Now, as somebody who enjoys the opera, who enjoys the ballet, who enjoys live performance in general, I don't give a fuck what it is, whatever performance it is. If it's somebody standing in the middle of the street in the city, as I like, and completing a work of performance art, as long as you're not disrupting anybody. Well, I mean, even if you are, I can still find it in me to appreciate it, even if you're inconveniencing me, if inconveniencing is a part of the performance. Any form of live art is something that I can appreciate because you are trying to do something. Even if I don't particularly like it, even if I think it's stupid, even if I think it's dumb, I can still find it in me to have appreciation for it. What I don't have appreciation for is when movies and TV shows and media like that has obviously been democratized and tried to market to a more general audience wastes my time. I don't like when that happens. I didn't like Marty Supreme. I didn't like the story. The cinematography was great. Josh Safdie, you can burn in hell. Josh Safdie, you can go burn in hell. Safdie brothers, you can go burn in hell. Okay. Maybe his brother separated from him because of that whole thing with Good Time and that whole thing with Uncut Gems. But I don't think that Timothee Chalamet, and he's said this before on the Graham Norton show, he has talked about how he thinks that opera and ballet are a dying art form. I think that movies are a dying art form because they have been so commercialized in the United States. I think that Hollywood has completely lost its sense of artistic and creative direction. I think that they are being presented with something really new and fascinating with the Heated Rivalry Boys, with Connor Story, and with Hudson Williams. I think that they have an opportunity to do something new and refreshing, but time and time again, as executives and producers in pretty much any industry, but specifically speaking, the film industry in America, will take this opportunity, run it through the ground, and completely miss the mark as to why audiences enjoy what audiences enjoy. I think that the film industry in itself is so oversaturated with nepo babies and people who are so grotesquely rich and grotesquely invested in their own self-interest that they cannot pull their heads out of their asses for even a millisecond of time to kind of try to understand what audiences want. Okay, I think that in our economy, it is hard to chase dreams because you just want to live. I think that art in itself has transformed into this amalgamation of capitalistic ventures that is destroying Hollywood, and I can't wait until it eats itself alive. I am not waiting for Hollywood to turn into something that I may want to be a part of or I may want to witness. I am waiting on its downfall. I am waiting for it to turn into something that even disgusts itself and that it collapses. I think that we need to turn back to live performance. I think we need to turn back to small films and media and invest in small creators, especially creators of color, especially people who have doors slammed in their face all the time, whether that's a person of color or not. And I think that we need to start getting a little freaky with it too. I think we need to start getting a little freaky deaky with it. Because I watched How to Make a Killing last night. Boring. Sad. Nothing interesting. Nothing new. I think that the kind of genre that they were trying to pinpoint down has already been covered in Knives Out, and I could not be interested. I know that there are different plots and there's different driving forces, but that's what made Knives Out good, and that's what made How to Make a Killing bad. I think it would have been more interesting if it was played by people who we're not seeing all the time. And I'm not talking about people specifically like Margaret Qualley and Glenn Powell. I am talking about the representation of white men never being satisfied. I don't care. I don't care. I honestly don't care. Like, all of these movies being centered around like money and that hunger, I do not care. Where is your hunger for art? Where is your hunger for creativity, for love, for feeling? And there was no soul to that movie. And I think, again, circling back to the democratization of the arts, why would I give a fuck about, like, the story fell so flat if you watched it? As per Marty Supreme, I don't care. Okay, it's not that I don't care. Wait, actually it is that I don't care. I don't give a fuck if a man want to play ping pong so damn bad. Fine. Do it on your own time. Do it at your own risk. He doesn't ruin, but he certainly gets a lot of other people into his shenanigans. Go ruin your life by yourself. You don't have to involve other people in that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think I want to see more joy de vivre, if you will, because like this like constant flow of media that's just deranged in the way that it's like they're trying so hard to be evocative that in trying to get that emotion out of an audience, they're being so grotesque in their and extreme. And I know that kind of is the opposite of what I'm saying about, like, I think we need to get a little freaky with it. I think we need to get a little freaky with it, but I think we need to get freaky with it in, like, the Secretary 2002. Like, that kind of way. Do you know what I mean? Like, exploration of art through more than just saying words to a screen. Where are the gaffers? Hey, where are the gaffers? And I'm not talking about degaff, like giving a fuck. I'm talking about, like, the gaffers of Hollywood, like the lighting design. Hey, the Devil Wears Prada 2 trailer looks like shart from a butthole. It looks so bad that, like, I can't even give a fuck that Anne Hathaway and Meryl Streep are currently queening out on my fucking screen because it looks so boring. Where are the costume designers? Where are the makeup artists? Oh yeah, they're not getting paid. They are not getting paid, so why the fuck would they want to be in that industry anymore? If there are not jobs creating those opportunities, everything has become so boring these days. Why are we so boring? Hey, let's, like, okay, the Gucci fashion show, the runway, what was going on? Maybe it was something that was outside of my purview. Maybe it was something that was outside my mental capacity, right? It looked like shit. It looked bad. It looked horrible. I didn't like it very much. And I think that this loss of color and this loss of, like, you know what it is? I just figured it out. It's this nonchalant epidemic that has had us by a fucking chokehold. Not giving a fuck because, emotional. I feel like millennials were like, they cared so much and they were so loud about how much they cared. Couldn't, like, that translated to Gen Z bouncing back to kind of the opposition of, like, not giving a fuck, like, oh, I don't care. But it's like this weird paradox because, like, we're constantly acknowledging that we feel these extreme emotions like anxiety, depression, and that we have this, like, malevolence towards our government, and we have, all of us have these emotions. We're intellectualizing them, we're recognizing them, but we're not feeling them. And it's like, it's translating to our media. I guess it's not Gen Z then, because, millennial gray and whatever, and millennials are actually in charge of, they're starting to become who are in charge of these runways and this creativity. But I don't know how much it has to do with generations then, I guess. However, I think that they're trying to market to this idea of this, like, nonchalantness. It's okay to give a fuck. It's not okay to be loud and wrong. Like, I feel like everybody's so afraid to be, like, loud in fear of being wrong. And, like, it's because everybody's afraid of being embarrassed. And that stupid quote from Austin Butler on Subway Takes. First of all, I don't like Subway Takes. Second of all, that guy is fucking weird. And, like, I don't think that these new... Excuse me. Okay, girl. I don't think that these new, like, internet shows are gonna... I guess they will replace talk shows. I don't like, and this might be controversial, I really like Brittany Broski. I kind of had to stop watching her because of the way that she reacted to Sinners was, like, so... She's always talking about, like, a white man. I don't care. Sorry, I don't care. Like, she's always obsessing over, like, some guy. And, like, in all of her podcasts, they're always talking about, like... Not always, but there's always, like, 5 or 10 minutes where she's, like, talking about how genius Hosier is, or, like, how beautiful Austin Butler is, or how great Timothee Chalamet is, or Harry Styles' new album. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I just... But then she will, like, talk about, culture and the world, and speaking Spanish and wanting to, expand it, and, like, I just can't take it seriously. Because there was, like, a streak, like, last year in January where she just would not stop talking about men, and I was like, I gotta put it down. I have to put this down. It's also the same kind of issue that I have with, like, Emma Chamberlain. It's not the same, but in the same vein as what issues I have with Emma Chamberlain's podcast, is that this, like, pseudo intellectual, like, not real, like, baseless arguments that she's making, or kind of assumptions that she jumps to by trying to give advice, but she has no formal education, and besides the no formal education, she was not socialized like everybody else. And so I think that she does make good points, and I'm not going to discredit the entire podcast because sometimes I do like sitting down and listening to it. However, I do think that she tries to draw conclusions that are lost on her how she gets to the end. And I think that's because she did not pursue academics. And I am not saying that everybody needs to go to college. I don't think that that is true, especially in the economic state that we are currently in. However, I am a person who, if I could be in college forever, I would. And not because of like the partying or whatever. No, I love learning so much. And it took me a very long time to get to the point. Like, literally, elementary school, I hated it. I'm not doing whatever. Elementary school, I hated it. Half of high school, middle school, I hated it. Half of high school, I hated it. It took me taking an advanced level course in something that I was good at because everything else was boring the fuck out of me. And because it was boring the fuck out of me, I was like, oh, I don't need to do it. I understand it, but I don't need to do it. And I did. Like, I did understand what was going on. I just couldn't give less of a fuck. I could not gaff. And then it became apparent in high school when I was taking like an advanced level, like one advanced level course, that like, oh, like I do enjoy learning. I just hate being bored. All this to say, I think that Emma Chamberlain would benefit highly from like pursuing a collegiate career in something like philosophy or anthropology or sociology, because I think that her ideas they have base, they're based, but not in the sense of like, oh, she's based, like, she has solid trains of thought and streams of consciousness. And where I think conspiracy theories, where I know conspiracy theories kind of take bloom and bud, and this is a little extreme, is due to misinformation. And a lot of bad things happen because of misinformation. But I also think that because she has this giant platform and is constantly being validated by people who maybe went to college and did not pay attention, people who do not give a shit, like the general dumb consensus of Americans, because none of us take education seriously and because the education system in America is a fucking joke. I think that she's validated in her comments because she's constantly getting views and constantly, and you know, some people can agree with her, people can, you know, validate her and see her, but like, damn, I remember there was a podcast where she was talking about how stupid it is to have superstitions. Now, I am not going to speak academically. I am speaking in a sense of drawing conclusions from information that I have gathered in my studies, but that was also like 3 years ago, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, but please do listen to what I'm saying. Superstitions, urban legends, and myths are deeply cultural, okay? The chupacabra, that is a deep cultural, like, significant cultural myth. The Baba Yaga, deep cultural myth. The Krampus, deep cultural myth. Okay? Superstitions, although can be translated into kind of, and this is a different separate thing with OCD and anxiety and compulsions, and I'm not talking about that. I am talking about verbal stories that have been passed down through generations, that have been destroyed due to colonization and written language. Those are not dumb. Those are not stupid. Those are not just to be written off. They are warnings. They are stories to be internalized and kept alive through culture. And if you're just gonna, like, it pissed me off so badly when she just started talking, like, completely out of her ass about like how stupid like cultural superstitions are. Like, I know that like a lot of like Baharian Russians, they don't put their bag on the floor. Or I guess that's not just a Russian thing, but a lot of Eastern Europeans, they don't put their bag on the floor because they're gonna lose money. Now, maybe you think that's dumb because it's like, oh, like you're not gonna lose money, but that's what they believe, and that's rooted in something cultural, and that means something to them. They don't whistle inside their houses because they also think that's gonna make them lose money, or um, something along the lines of that. But it's something that they take seriously and something that is important to them. Do you know what I mean? Like, the world does not revolve around you. It's not just about you. I don't know. I don't really know where I was going with this, but I do think that going back to my first point, I do think that the elitism that has always been prevalent in opera and ballet is a problem. I do think that's an issue, and I think that's a nuanced issue, but I think him just saying nobody cares about it, lie, wrong, and I'm gonna lose 14 cents of viewership, pathetic and gross. And it's grotesque that you think the people consuming your art are like, it's just money. Like, you think that there's just money. Or I don't even know what he was trying to say with that. Like, ooh, the Mets tied the Cardinals. I don't even know what he was trying to say with that. Do you know what I mean? Like, bro, what were the words that are coming out of your mouth? And like, everybody's like, Matthew McConaughey is trying to stop him. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey is trying to stop him because Matthew McConaughey probably agrees. He was talking about AI in that interview. Like, live performances, will not be replaced by AI. You know what will be replaced by AI? Films, TVs. I don't want that to happen. I really don't. I enjoy physical media. I enjoy like over the internet media, and I enjoy television, and I enjoy movies, and I enjoy my stupid YouTube videos, obviously. But like, you can never replace like real theater and real art and real people. You can't replace that. Even if it's like something that you deem as stupid, like, why can't you just respect it from afar, being like, I don't personally enjoy it, but like, respect to these people who have dedicated their lives to their crafts. Do you know what I mean? Like, ballet dancers go through fucking hell. They go through hell. Especially women. Men, ballerinos are lauded for putting on weight and being muscular and being able to lift all of these things, and not having sickled feet and not jumping as high, and this, that, and the third. And women ballerinas are held to this standard of transformation, prepubescent transformation. I wouldn't even say transformation, stunted. They are lauded to be stunted. Edgar Degas. I have such big beef with that bitch. Edgar Degas. I don't like it when people in the industry laud his art. People, you have seen it before. I know that you have. It is, the little girl, all of in the Metropolitan Museum of Art with the ballerinas and this. Those are 11, 12, 13-year-old girls that don't want to be there and are being actively sex trafficked. That is what those paintings are. Ballet used to be who was the prettiest girl, who was the smallest girl. That was the principal dancer. So that all of the people who are pouring their money into the ballet could have the chance to sleep with that young girl. Ballet has a very messy and disgusting history. Disgusting. Filthy. But, and I hate to, detract from all of the great positive things that are happening right now. The ballet industry is not fair to women. The ballet industry is not fair to women because they are still being held to this expectation of looking like 15-year-old girls. I'm sorry. I love Misty Copeland. I love Isabella Boylston. I love all of these dancers. They are still expected. Misty Copeland just got her hip replaced and is walking around in a walker and still has the frame of a 15-year-old girl. Is that this is just the way that she looks? Great. Is that the expectation? Yeah. And what if somebody that doesn't have the frame of a 15-year-old wants to do ballet? Nope. Sorry. And there are smaller companies and there are smaller dance troupes that, you know, they are making it more inclusive for ballets dancers to be a part of ballet, but we still have a long fucking ways to go. All right, okay. I still don't fuck with Balanchine. He's a bitch. But I digress. It's still fuck Timothee Chalamet. It's still fuck like this idea that it's a dying art form. The only thing that's dying, all art is dying. Like, in America, all art is dying because it's not government funded. Because the government is not funded by the people for the people. It is funded by the people for the billionaires. And that's kind of how ballet and opera works too. It is funded by the billionaires for the billionaires, which great. But that also means that people don't have access to like be able to watch and consume and have their lives changed by ballet and opera and you know, it's sad. It's sad. But this was a mess. And I've been talking for too long. So yeah, fuck Timothée Chalamet for saying that. I don't know what he's like in real life. I don't really give a fuck. He's dating Kylie Jenner, so it's like the Kardashians are also kind of like despicable human beings, but whatever. Who am I? Bye.